Hi, my name is Donna Lagow, Director of Client Operations at Uncommon Logic. Come check out my episode for the Business Growth Architect Show, and I will show you tips and tricks on how to build a strong culture and crush your retention goals at your organization.
Welcome to the Business Growth Architect Show. I am Beate Gillette. I am the host. I want to welcome you to our globally top 10% ranked podcast, where you will hear from industry experts about the strategies that are working right now to unlock hidden opportunities in any market so that you can grow your authority and scale your impact. And now let's get started with the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Beate Gillette, the host of the Business Growth Architect Show, and I'm here with Donna Lagow today from Uncommon Logic, and we're going to be talking about your greatest assets, the people that you are working with. Donna, welcome to the show. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you so much, as am I.
So, Donna, tell us a little bit about who you are and what is it that you do?
I'm the Director of Client Operations at Uncommon Logic. We are a digital marketing agency that's based in Austin, Texas. And in my role as the head of operations, I support our team with their client portfolio and their growth strategy for our client partners. And most importantly, support our teams and their growth strategy with us and growth trajectory here at the organization.
When we talked first, you talked to me a lot about that the secret of success, in your opinion, is having the right people. So tell us about this philosophy, if you so want to, because a lot of business owners consider it their greatest weakness to hire the right people or even to find the right people. What's the secret here?
Well, lots of analysis of what works for you. Each business is unique, and we have done a lot of investing in understanding the types of people who are very successful here. What's the genetic makeup of that person? What do they care about? What are their values? What do they want from their career and their role and the company that helps support them in that? And then we try to find more by asking them to clone themselves. But truly, we have done an analysis of our existing team. And as an agency, our retention rates are very high. We are very fortunate to have an 82% team retention rate that we maintain on average. And that's really unusual for agencies. And the average tenure of our teammate, depending on the colleague, ranges anywhere from 2 years to folks that have been here upwards of 13 years with an average tenure of about 3.5 years across the agency. Also very unusual. So we start there, understanding what does work for us, and then modeling out how we can find more of those people. And the main thing for us has really been sourcing from our values. We have 6 core values as an agency. Do what it takes to deliver excellent results, do the right thing, always learn and try new things, et cetera, et cetera. And we find if we have folks who are aligned with those values, more than likely they're going to be successful here. Yes, of course, there are other things that we evaluate from the technical attributes of their background. We have found that, funnily enough, as a marketing agency, we don't really hire marketers. We hire teammates with backgrounds in math or statistics or predictive modeling, and then teach them marketing because we're working with very large data sets and can teach the creative part better than we can the technical part. So that's also a really impactful thing in understanding the type of person that we're looking for. And then, of course, the culture components, especially important, if not the most important. Does a person want to get with an organization and grow it, help build it? Do they have a solution or builder mindset? That's really the type of person that we have found to be most successful here because they love to solve problems. They love to think creatively about how to design a new process or how to innovate past the processes that we've already developed. So thinking from those three frameworks, values, technical attributes, and really what the person wants and their mindset, those are the three things that we look at most frequently.
That's so interesting to me. So what you're saying is like you don't go to like ZipRecruiter and you put your digital marketing agency looks for a digital marketer who's 27, has 13 years of experience and a master's degree in all kinds of different things, but that you have actually looked at the historic component of what has made people successful employees in your company. When you went in and you did the discovery on these data points on who are the people that succeed, what was the first thing that you recognized that was almost uncommon logic, pun intended?
Very well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
The most interesting to me was that so much of our team has in their past overcome really significant personal obstacles in their lives, overcoming a childhood diagnosis of a disease, loss of a parent very early on, loss of a sibling, and these, very heavy emotional markers for people that have them really evolve as a person and change how they approach trauma and approach stress and approach different. And that was one of the most unique things that stood out to me, people's ability to be able to overcome experiences in their own lives, have them be really anti-fragile in the work environment, and have them be empathetic to those around them who may be experiencing other hardships in their life. So it's a combination of ability to endure and ability to really know when someone is struggling and how to help. That was a standout characteristic that we saw.
It's interesting that you say that because I have to agree with you. I mean, as somebody who comes from the School of Hard Knocks, one of the things that I always look for when I hire is people that had a significant amount of adversity in their lives, very much for the same reason as you do, is because if somebody has figured out at a young age how to get themselves through difficult circumstance, they are by nature resilient. They're problem solvers. They don't fold when something goes wrong. They oftentimes are not blamers, at least not to the extent other people are. And on the opposing side of that, if somebody walks in and says, yeah, but I have a bachelor's degree, and they wave that at me, I already know that they think that is the traditional route that we go when we believe that the educational system actually works, which it really doesn't. I mean, it does in academics, but in what we do, where we are under such significant market fluctuations, which is what I talk about next, it does not work to go the tried and proven route because innovation does not happen in a straight line. So as a digital marketing agency, and I think this is probably very relatable to a lot of our listeners, that to say, what is it that I should be looking for, which you answered partially. You said, look for somebody who has a story because they're probably more resilient, more empathetic. What do you look for in rapid changing market environments in addition to what you just shared us? Is there anything else?
Certainly. Someone who thrives in chaos and does not need to exist within a very defined schedule or regimented workflow. We have found that given the obvious nature of our industry, changes daily, that if you don't thrive at a frenetic pace and thrive in chaos and really enjoy that part of the industry, then you won't be successful here. And some of the overarching markers that we look for as a test threshold for that are the ability to handle ambiguity. We pose a lot of questions around very generic scenarios. And given a few details, not enough really, to be able to solve the issue, then how would you go about solving that problem? And watch how the person is able to think creatively through that solution, and whether that process is interesting and seemingly fun for them, or whether there is a very intense stress reaction to it. Some of the little signals of stress we would expect. It's an interview. But overarching stress and sometimes agitation with the process, that's a sign that person really doesn't feel comfortable in that environment, and thus likely not in an ever-changing everyday environment such as ours.
I like that a lot. So you're saying that it's almost like you are creating an environment that they would expect when we are in a brainstorm session. So the new client has been onboarded. We are sitting there. 16 people have different ideas. It's hectic. We have to come up with something by the end of the day. So you're trying to create an environment where you can see the personality reveal itself. Am I catching that correctly?
Exactly. It's not just the answer to the question, it's the behavioral response to the question. And that is as important, because we want nothing more for our team than for them to have that perfect intersection and Venn diagram of their career where, one section of it is very skilled in role and the other section is very happy in role. And where those two things unite is where a person is comfortable. So if we can see the person really enjoys that as part of the experience, then we can really get at the behavioral side of whether or not they have, long-term potential to be really happy in the role.
I think this is very powerful because it's almost counterintuitive to me wanting to be the nice person, especially if I think about the traditional role of HR on the interviewing. It feels very generic. I don't want to make them uncomfortable. I want to make them comfortable enough to be through the interview. But you're telling me that in order to find the right people for my business, I have to get clear what matters to me, what type of personality I and the team will gel with for this particular job. Then I'm going to have to create an environment in the interview process where they kind of get a taste of what this might look like, because they themselves also have a decision to make if this is the right environment for them. So you do take them through a number of different interviews, different steps. Do you have like a formula that you perfected for that, a probation period? Because I cannot begin to tell you, I hear this oftentimes, and it's going to be my next question then afterward, is finding the right people. So in this process, how long is this process until you commit to a new employee?
Wouldn't we like it to be shorter? Generally, it will range in between, if we're moving very quick through the interviewing process, ideally within 2 to 6 weeks. It is the art of finding the right candidates to interview, which is the harder part that adds more time to that. But if we can get someone in the door, it's very quick from there. And 6 weeks would be start to end of the process, from apply to offer. And again, that's very high. That would be them traveling and out of town. But for the most part, we're trying to close within 2 to 4 weeks.
What would you say to somebody who says, wow, that's a really long time?
Agreed. And it is really important that we continue to refine that process. For us, it's really important, though, that it is the right decision for both the prospect and for the organization, because we jokingly say we're with our client partners and with our teammates, we are, looking for someone to marry in a joking way, but that is a long-term relationship. We are people that care about people and want to invest in a long-term healthy partnership. So that requires time and investment upfront as well. And for our actual process in the interviewing cycle, what that looks like for us is initially there is a technical criteria test that happens at the very beginning. And in addition to that, a personality criteria test, which helps us understand how they work through stressful assignments, how they communicate, what their communication preferences are, how they work within a team, what are their strong suits naturally, in addition to on the technical side, where do they have the skill set and capabilities? And from that, depending on what scores are associated with those tests, then we have a phone screen after, of course, reviewing their resume and ensuring alignment for the role. And from that point on, it moves really quickly. After our HR team does the phone screen, if they are a go, then off we go. And there's 3 interviews that will happen following that process. And it is a technical interview and 2 cultural interviews, because we value the cultural part and the values alignment part as much, if not more, than the technical components of, can you just do the role?
Absolutely fascinating. And more on how to hire the right people with Donna Lagow in just one moment. Are you looking for the hidden opportunities for you in this market? Or are you simply wanting to figure out what is your unique differentiation factor that makes clients want to work with you and not your competitors? If this resonates, I want to invite you to go to uncoverysession.com and schedule your 15-minute complimentary uncovery session with one of our business growth advisors that will take you through what your number one business growth blocker is, what you can do to remove it, and what your very best next step should be. And now let's get back to the show. And welcome back. We are here with Donna Lagow from Uncommon Logic, talking about how to find the right people. What would you say to somebody, Donna, who says, I cannot find the right people? Everybody sucks.
Have you done the work to understand what the right people are? And do you have the right people in your organization currently? If so, that's your research pool, and start there first. Once you understand the components of what you're looking for, then it is much easier to go out and define what your pipeline should look like and what your prospecting targets should look like. If I know that I'm looking for a senior marketing manager with 7 years of people management on average in these types of categories of digital, PPC, SEO, analytics. And I know that I want for them to have overseen a lot of special projects, because as an agency, we all contribute in different ways. I can then start to marry up all of those attributes in not only the candidates, yes, that we're reviewing as they come in, but who we're reaching out to on LinkedIn and Indeed and inviting to apply and come be a part of our recruiting process. So that's the first step, really knowing what you've got and what works for you, and then starting to refine your bullseye target around that and how you prospect.
I love that. So how do you go about building a people culture? Because if somebody now listens from the Beehive and they say, well, I'm working on scaling, I want to grow my authority, I want to impact more people, I'm going to need to be building a team. I know that a lot of people, especially the executive team, they love to go on fancy offsites. And then they have Ritz-Carlton, and they have fabulous meals and expensive whiskey at night. And then they talk for a couple of hours about things that are meaningful to them that nobody else really knows about. And then they come back and they have values and a mission and a vision statement. Is that culture, or what comes after that? Or does anything come before that?
This is a great question. So the culture radiates from the organization and the people. The culture is not alive without everyone being very invested in that same set of values. Do you communicate directly and honestly? Do you do the right thing? Do you always learn and try new things? Those are really important things to align on as a team and as part of an organization's mindset. You're defining the character of the organization. It's not just culture, it's character and how you want to show up for one another and outside of these walls and inside of these walls. So how do you create that? Yes, defining what it is, but then it's something that you never put down. For us as an organization, we have so many ways that we continue to have our values live in our everyday interactions with one another. Every week in our all hands team meeting, which everyone's there, our head of sales, CEO, head of marketing, there is a shout outs period at the end of the meeting where everyone from the organization commends someone that has done something that is exemplary of the values of the organization. Like, this person did what it takes to deliver excellent results by doing these things this week. And that's a simple way that we prop it up in one another. We also have an annual company award where, for our 6 core values, each person from the organization rather, gets to vote on what person from the organization has most embodied that value and that part of our culture in that year. And they get a really funny little trophy and bragging rights, and also a really nice gift card to go do something really nice for themselves. Those are kind of tertiary ways that we celebrate our culture with our team, but it's way, way more than that, as you were alluding to. It is how you talk to your team about what's important. It is how you have very transparent discussions about when things are going the way that the business wants for them to, or that the team wants them to, and when they're not, and, showing where we are having some breakdown moments and we did not think that we handled this the best way, and this is why. And being a very open organization in diagnosing opportunities and helping one another learn from one another in an environment that's safe to fail. As a culture like ours that's based on always learning and trying new things, you also have to be based on effing some things up sometimes and learning from your mistakes. So one of the things that we do as a culture is openly share learnings and things that have been hardships within an account or a client communication issue that we wish would have gone smoother. We're always sharing what we think we could have done better, and we can help buoy the person next to us.
Yes,
so that part's really important.
I think you're saying something that is extremely important. It is something I see a lot, where the team goes offsite, as I said, and then they come back and then they present it in a nice presentation at a company meeting, and that's it. And then there's no implementation, no integration of any kind. So you were saying that in order for me to build the culture, I also need to think about, if my value is do the right thing, what does that actually mean? Like, what is an example? So I want to just give an example to bring this to life for our listeners. One of my clients, Rush to Beauty, who is one of the top injectors for, it's not a med spa, it's medical aesthetics, all injectables. We came up with a culture value. You only have one culture value, and that's beautiful. So everything you do and say, was that beautiful? Did that make the client feel beautiful? Did it make you feel beautiful? Does the office look beautiful? Are you dressed so somebody can see that you're beautiful? So everything is around this one word, because we found that if you do too many, and people get very confused, but everybody can remember one core value. Is it beautiful? So do you have an example of that you maybe can share with us, where you said, well, that is like what happened with this one value, no matter where you are in your journey as a small business or as an entrepreneur or a mid-sized business or wherever you are, is how do you take it and then drive it home? Donna, do you have an example for us?
Sure. I think an example of doing the right thing, one that you called out, this can show up at every layer of our organization. And one of the ways that I think this has been very, very impactful to who we are and the type of partners that we're working with is implementing that as part of our upfront vetting process and our sales process. when we're getting to know partners that will, eventually be our partner or not, really understanding what they're trying to solve for as a business and whether or not we can help them. We are not an organization that tries to say that we can do what we can't do, or thinks that we can solve, every problem that a potential partner may be experiencing at their organization. So for us, in this instance, when we're getting to know a potential partner, we really want to understand their goals. We really want to understand their external pressures. What does their board need to see? What are their milestones for the year ahead? What are their historical growth rates? Is there a philosophical and values alignment between our organization and theirs? True cultural alignment. And even instituting things like that on the front end part of our sales process has helped us say no to the wrong type of partners and say yes to the right type of partners, which also helps really support the infrastructure and the culture that we work to preserve here. We want to be bringing in interesting, challenging, unique problems to solve for our team, but we want to make sure that we can deliver what we're agreeing to and be successful, and have, yes, cultural alignment and values alignment with those organizations. So for us, an example of doing the right thing even starts up front with our sales process before people, come into the walls of the organization.
I like that a lot. Sometimes I think, especially when we think about sales, we think about the money and what that would mean and the profits we will be making. But it's easy to talk yourself into believing that you can achieve an outcome, even when you're not entirely certain. And when you have this nagging suspicion, more often than not, you're probably right. So I like the idea that the do the right thing is not just about the hard charging of get those clients in, but the hard charging of saying, is this the right fit for us? Is this the right thing for us and for them to do? I believe that there is a learning curve also for people that are using these cultural values to say, especially right now, I think this has really changed in the sales process, specifically over the last couple of years, since internet marketing has gotten so in your face pushy everywhere, that people have such a heightened sense of what I'm being sold. You're building an attraction factor at Uncommon Logic, where the culture and, even something like this, doing the right thing, will attract not just the right employees, probably also the right clients. Tell me more about that.
Exactly. It's just foundational to our mindset and how we operate as an organization. If you continue on that line of thought, if you do bring in, the wrong type of partners and you have the right alignment and values alignment in team, having a contradiction or conflict between those two can impact, the happiness and satisfaction of your team. If, we are giving on some of the values that we commit to with our client partners and who we're saying yes to, but we expect our team to uphold those, those two things are in contradiction with one another. And overall, what we're trying to create is an environment where people are thriving, happy, growing, challenged, of course, leaping over their next mountain, yes, but an environment where they can overcome obstacles. They are excited to work on what their next leap month and leap year is. And having the right culture that you're bringing in helps really foster the culture that you're maintaining and preserving in your team and how your organization works with their client partners as well.
Wonderful. So Donna, thank you so much for sharing all your insights on how to find the right people, build culture, and some of your hiring processes. So for somebody who wants to reach out and learn more about what you and Uncommon Logic do, where would we send them?
Please find me on LinkedIn, Donna Lagow, or you are welcome to contact me via email, donna.lagow@uncommonlogic.com. Hope to hear from you.
Excellent. And that's it for us for today. Thank you so much for listening or watching. This is Beate Chalette, your host, and goodbye. Thank you for listening to or watching the show. We are so excited that you're here, and we are very grateful for you. Now it's our turn to ask you for help. Please do share this episode with one other person that needs to hear what we were talking about today. If there's any question you have about business, please do reach out to us and let us know. And don't forget to schedule your complimentary Uncovery session at uncoverysession.com, where one of our business growth advisors will help you to figure out what your number one business growth blocker is in only 15 minutes. And that's it for us today. Until next time.